Good morning. I am the Reverend Denise Gouch. My pronouns are she, her. This is my last weekend serving as the assistant minister of this congregation, so it is especially my pleasure to welcome you to worship with the First Unitarian Universalist Church of Nashville. As Unitarian Universalists, our spiritual paths vary, but in this congregation we have made a covenant together. We affirm our interdependence, celebrate our differences, and work for justice. We are a welcoming congregation, and we deepen our relationships as we serve our congregation's mission to create community, nurture spiritual growth, and act on our values in the broader world, guided by reason and compassion. I'd like to extend a special welcome to visitors worshiping with us. If you are seeking a spiritual home, we hope that you may find it here. If you are live with us on Zoom, won't you please say hello in the chat? We love knowing who's here. No matter what platform you're using, you can find helpful information like ways to give, faith development resources for all ages, reopening plans, and more in the worship portal on our website, firstuunash.org. We are so glad you're joining us for worship.
My name is Jay Tiefenbrunn. My pronouns are she, her, and I serve as your director of music ministries. Today we are blessed by the work of many instrumentalists and singers who have gathered across time and distance to create the music for today's service. I invite you to join me in sending gratitude to them. Our guest musicians, Elaine and Amberly, met at the church this week and had a consent conversation before making their recording. Our opening song today is by renowned Jamaican-American singer Harry Belafonte. The story goes that when he was traveling in West Africa, one of the storytellers he was visiting shared the wisdom of the sun, the mountain, and the river, and how these things together turn the world around. I do hope that you will sing and dance around your room and join voices from your 2020 Nashville First UU choir in singing Turn the World Around.
We come from the fire, living in the fire, go back to the fire, turn the world around. We come from the water, from the water, go back to the water, turn the world around. We come from the mountain, living on the mountain, go back to the mountain, turn the world around. Oh, so is life. Ah, so is life. Oh.
Good morning. I'm the Reverend Diane Dowgiert. My pronouns are she and hers. It is my pleasure to serve as your developmental lead minister.
And I am Sally Winkle, whose pronouns are she, her. I serve as the co-chair of the worship committee. The words for the call to worship today were written by Manish Mishra Marzetti.
Between rocking the boat and sitting down, between stirring things up and peaceably going along, we find ourselves here in community.
Each called from many different journeys, many different life paths into this river of life.
Some are here because the rocking of the boat has been too much tumult, too much uncertainty, too much pain.
Some are here with questions about where the boat is going, about how best to steer it where this journey ends.
Others are here as lovers of the journey, lovers of life itself.
Here in front, beside, behind, each a passenger, each a captain, doing what best we can.
Rest here in your boat with me, the river calls. Listen to how I flow, the sound of life coursing all around you.
Let the current hold you. Let the current guide you. The river that gently flows through your soul whispers,
Come, let us worship.
The words for the chalice lighting were written by Laura Horton Ludwig. Fire and water, ancient opposites. Sun and ocean, the cradle of life. Dancing flame and dancing river, we invoke them together today as we kindle our chalice flame.
Thank you, Sally. We take a moment this morning to mark this day as important in the ongoing flow of life here at the First UU Church of Nashville. Today, the Reverend Denise Gouch concludes her ministry with us as she looks forward to beginning a new ministry for her with the Greater Nashville Unitarian Universalist congregation. Over the years, Reverend Denise has served fun in many roles, from faithful membership to membership coordinator to assistant minister of congregational engagement. I know I have been blessed by her gracious welcome to me as your developmental lead minister, blessed by her vast institutional memory, and blessed by her steadfast presence and abiding commitment to Unitarian Universalist principles and values. This congregation both witnessed and nurtured Reverend Denise's call to ministry, a call that is now taking her beyond these walls, even these virtual walls, taking her into a new endeavor, one that holds out hope and promise for the next chapter of our shared faith of Unitarian Universalism here in Middle Tennessee. Today does not mark the ending of a relationship, but the changing of a relationship as Reverend Denise takes on her new ministry. While Reverend Denise will no longer be serving as one of your ministers, she will remain here in Nashville. She will greet you warmly in places like the grocery store and post office, while respectfully refraining from conversations about church. I'm sure we will all navigate these new boundaries with grace, good humor, and a will to the health and wholeness of both congregations. And I now hand things off to Susan Johnston, Vice President of your Board of Directors.
Denise, Greater Nashville UU is a lucky congregation. We will miss you. Who on earth could take your place heading up the welcome team? You're so organized. You had your spreadsheet that we could all us greeters could access and see exactly which service we were greeting at, and we could change up with people if we needed to. And then you would contact us the week before to make sure that we knew that we were greeting that day. And yet there's another side of you that is so gracious and hospitable in manner that it made us all us greeters feel included and important. And I know it presented a welcoming face to visitors as well. In that way, and in so many other ways, you have been an integral part of our life together. I, in particular, will miss your wonderful sermons, even though you discounted that yesterday when I saw you at the church. At least we can watch recordings from your new services at Greater Nashville UU if we missed you too much. In gratitude for all that you've done for this congregation, both as a congregant and as a bona fide minister, the board, on behalf of the congregation, is offering you a gift of $1,000. That's only a token of all we value in you. And we'll be sending you a check after you're off the payroll so that it's a non-taxable gift. We wish you all the best as you start this new, exciting part of your career. Farewell, Denise.
That's something to follow. I am Marguerite Mills. My pronouns are she, her, and I am your Director of Lifespan Religious Education. Our story this morning is The Vessel of Compassion by Katie Gelfand, adapted. Once upon a time, in a time that is both this time and no time, at the turning of the 9th moon of the year, 4 women journeyed from 4 different directions to share a moment of sacredness together. Each carried a pitcher of water from her home, embedded with the stories and emotions of her life and her community. They congregated around an empty vessel, united in the desire to listen to the stories and hearts of one another. The youngest woman came from the east with the spirit of air. As she poured water from her pitcher into the vessel, she shared stories from her home about the excitement of children being born, the music of laughter that fragranced the neighborhoods, and the bliss of young people falling in love. As she shared the story of her heart, she laughed and drops of liquid joy burst from her mouth and landed inside the vessel. The 4 women paused to honor the stories from the East and the spirit of the woman who shared them. Let us join them for a moment in silence or in the chat. The mother came from the south with the spirit of fire. As she poured water from her pitcher into the vessel, she shared stories from her home about adapting to the ever-changing world of motherhood, the challenges of navigating family life, and the difficulties her community faced with transitions in leadership. As she shared the story of her heart, a drop of sweat formed on her brow and landed inside the vessel. The four women paused to honor the stories from the South and the spirit of the woman who shared them. Let us join them for a moment in silence or in the chat. From the West, with the spirit of water, came the sovereign woman. As she poured water from her pitcher into the vessel, she shared stories from her home about friends and loved ones who had died, the grief of those who missed them, and the deep pain she carried for the wounds humans have inflicted on each other and on our world. As she shared the story of her heart, a tear of sadness fell from her eye and landed inside the vessel. The four women paused to honor the stories from the West and the spirit of the woman who shared them. Let us join them for a moment, in silence or in the chat. From the North came the elder woman with the spirit of earth. As she poured water from her pitcher into the vessel, she shared stories from her home about the peace she found in solitude, the comfort she found in witnessing the changing of the seasons and phasings of the moon, and the renewal she felt when sharing her wisdom with those who would listen. As she shared the story of her heart, a tear of joy fell from her eye and landed inside the vessel. The four women paused to honor the stories from the North and the spirit of the woman who shared them. Let us join them for a moment in silence or in the chat. Now between the four women was a vessel filled with the waters of joy and happiness, change and transition, grief and loss, and rest and renewal. Mingled together in harmony and blessed by the women through their reverence and love for each other. The empty vessel of water was now a full vessel of compassion. Each woman took out a small container and filled it with water to bring back to her home to share the spirit of understanding and compassion with her own community. I invite you to take a small container of that symbolic water back with you. Blessed be. And so ends our story.
Wow. Thank you, Marguerite and Jay. That was really, really beautiful. Well, and in the spirit of gratitude, thank you all for being with me today and celebrating. I've enjoyed the chat, and thank you for the gift from the board and from the congregation. There is so much in our collective bowl, and I have felt gifted for many years to be able to share it with you. You may know that we share every Sunday's collection with an organization whose work outside our walls aligns with our values. Our Share the Plate partner for the month of August is the Nashville International Center for Empowerment, whose mission is to ensure that refugees and immigrants living in Nashville achieve their full potential now and for generations to come. You can learn more in the worship portal at firstuunash.org, where you can also find the link to our online donation form. As always, your gifts, like your presence among us, are received with gratitude.
Thank you, Elaine and Amberly, for that beautiful gift of music. We are so blessed. We come from the East. We come from the West. We come from the mountain. We come from the fire. We come from the North. We come from the South. We come from the waters of our lives, from many places and many sources, brought together as one living stream, poured out for each other as a sign of our mutual covenant, a promise to support and care for one another throughout the journey of life. The water communion is a sacred ritual, the gathering of holy waters, turbulent waters, troubled waters, waters that bless, waters that anoint, waters that wash away sorrows, waters that buoy our spirits, waters that flow abundantly through all that is our life. And when life ends, these holy waters bless and anoint the memory of all who came before. When we reach the fires and the dark rivers of loss, these holy waters receive our tears. Every year here at the First Unitarian Universalist Church of Nashville, our holy waters are poured out on the sacred ground where the ashes of those of beloved memory are laid to rest. This year, we will nourish that ground with our virtual offerings of waters. As the names of those interred in the columbarium roll by, in this time of immense loss, may we also give honor to all that is alive in our hearts as we remember and bless and anoint not only those named here, but all of those whose memories we hold dear. May these holy waters bathe us in forgiveness. May these holy waters make us new, make us whole, make us one.
Holy water, we water. Holy water, we water. Holy water, we water. Holy water, we water.
We bring waters from the four directions. Water from the north, from icy seas and frozen lands. Water that commingles and is part of the water of the globe. Bless these waters, that they may be healing waters. May the waters make us new. We bring waters from the four directions. Water from the south, from summer showers and warm lagoons. Water that commingles and is part of the water of the globe. Bless these waters, that they may bring us back to ourselves. May the waters make us whole. bring waters from the four directions, water from the east, from monsoons and sacred pools, water that commingles and is part of the water of the globe. Bless these waters, that they may quench our thirst, now and evermore. May the waters make us free. We bring waters from the four directions, water from the west, from dry places, especially precious for its scarcity, water that commingles and is part of the water of the globe. Bless these waters, for they restore us to community once again. May the waters make us one.
We come from the water. We go down to the water. We sail upon the water. We are the water. Our closing song is the Welsh tune Hyfrydol, which means, I think it means joyful, with singer-songwriter Peter Mayer's lyrics, celebrating our beautiful blue planet. Won't you join the combined choirs of Nashville and Northlake UU in singing Blue Boat Home?
Standing on these mountains and plains, far away from the rolling ocean, still my drive.
The words for the chalice extinguishing were written by Elizabeth Sell Jones. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Before I leave you with words of benediction today, I have a brief announcement about next Sunday. In order to give our worship staff and worship committee and all of our volunteers a much needed break, and discovering just how much Denise does for us. Next Sunday, when you go to the worship portal to log on for the service, you will be directed to a link that will take you to a service that was created by the Unitarian Universalist Association titled Loved into Being, led by the Reverend Susan Frederick Gray, who, in addition to being the president of our Association of Congregations, served many years ago as your intern minister. So I hope you'll take advantage of that opportunity to hear Reverend Susan preach once again. And recognizing that we cannot do this without Denise, we will not be having a social hour on Zoom next week. But I look forward to seeing you all on September 12th, either at 9 o'clock here on Zoom or 11 o'clock in the sanctuary, where we will gather to watch a replay of the service in a masked and socially distanced environment. And we'll have an opportunity to share some joys and concerns with one another. And I leave you with words of benediction. May the holy waters of life hold and sustain you, bless you and keep you until we are together again. Go in peace, go in love.